Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Here.
A current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of legislative chambers, and an affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting. Item 3 is a resolution to cancel the Class C liquor license held by Crush Ultra Lounge.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Omaha City Council. We appreciate having you here for this special meeting, especially because it's so cold outside. We know you took time to come down here today to address an important issue. We have had conversations about it this morning, both with the licensee and also the City Law Department. I think today's meeting will actually be quite short based on those conversations. We'll just hear from representatives here of both the license holder and then the city, and then it's likely this will be heard at a different date. So, Mr. Bianco, I'll recognize you.
Thank you. Bill Bianco here on behalf of Crush Lounge, and to my right is the owner of the bar, Tony Pham. And we're here to ask for a continuance of this hearing based on the amount of evidence that we received this morning. As you can see over here, I don't think Mr. Harding can see it, but we have a box of evidence, and I also have a CD thumb drive with 20 hours of evidence. So it will take us some time to go through that, and we would appreciate, a few weeks to do that. So I'm asking that you continue this hearing for, I believe the next date available is probably February 11th or like that.
I believe there has been discussion about February 11th, and that's satisfactory from your
Yes, Your
perspective? Okay.
You got it.
Thank you. Mr. Grumman.
Good afternoon, David Grauman here on behalf of the City of Omaha Law Department. We have no objection to the continuance in this particular case. We feel it's reasonable given the amount of evidence that needs to be reviewed by opposing counsel here, and so the city, on our behalf, we would tell you that we think it's a reasonable request, and that if you are inclined to grant the continuance, we're happy to support you in that.
Okay. Thank you.
With that, I would like to make a motion to lay this over to February 11th.
I have a question. I just want to make sure that.
There's a motion in a second. The lights aren't working, so just
No,
raise your hand.
I kind of figured that out because I heard it click.
Mr. Harding,
that's why I
recognized.
weighed in, but maybe just ask the law department. So I believe the resolution we passed said that the hearing had to occur within 30 days, and I know Mr. Bianco stated on the record and on behalf of his client that would be February 11th would be sufficient. That's within the 30-day time frame, so we don't have to make any amendments to the resolution that we passed to expand the time frame, correct?
That is correct. That's within the 30 days, and so we would not have to amend the resolution previously passed.
Okay. And Mr. Bianco, I think, just again for the record, that's February 11th is sufficient time for you to go through the evidence, and you believe?
The evidence that I presented, yes, we'll get through it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I think I made a motion to lay it over to the 11th, but
I think we also need to set a specific time since today was at 1. We'll just set it at, it'll be at the end of the 2 o'clock hearing is when I would like to make that motion. So it'll be the last agenda item on February 11th.
Yes, I agree with that. Thanks for making that clear for those that may want to come back that day and participate. Are there any other questions? Mr. Bagley.
Thanks, Mr. President. Or Mr. Bianco, thanks for coming to pre-council this morning. I was afforded the information that you were provided, I think it was on Friday, with the box you have there and the body cam from the Omaha Police. So I was prepared today with my review in the prior throwback long-form hearing we had at council last year or in 2023, but to afford you and your client fairness in this, and I'm supportive of this today, so thanks for coming down. And I wish we were having this today, but again, to afford you and your client fairness in this, I'm supporting for the February 11th continuance.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Thanks, Mr. President.
Any other questions? Mr. Huck.
Mr. Bianco, thank you for coming down today. Am I right to assume that this bar will allow to be operational until we take action? Is that correct? Okay. So any other tavern ports will become part of the record on the 11th?
I have no problem with that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Hug.
Different.
Practice.
Difficult
It's
to
just-
say. Yeah, I get it.
It's been 20 years since I've been down here.
Huh? Mr. Mr. Graham, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, Councilman Hogg, I did speak with Mr. Bianco to that effect, and when we spoke earlier today, I let him know I will supplement the record as any additional tavern reports, incident reports, or other things that we consider relevant evidence if they do come to light. I'll make Mr. Bianco aware, and we'll present those as well.
Hopefully there won't be.
Hopefully.
And while you're
My
there,
job
and because
easier.
while you're there, and because we do have a number of interested parties here today, this is only the second time we've entertained this process. Could you just briefly review how that proceeding will occur, presuming this is delayed over to February 11th? It's not a public hearing, it's an evidentiary hearing.
This is an evidentiary hearing, so this is different than the hearing we conducted related to the long form application. We will be introducing evidence, there will be objections. However, we will follow the same procedure that's contained in City Code Section 15-33, which will be that Mr. Pham, or his attorney in this case, Mr. Bianco, will present his case. People that are in favor of his case will be allowed to be called as witnesses by Mr. Bianco. At that point, I would then call any witnesses from the community, people who are neighbors, businesses, and then I will call people who are city officials. In this case, it will likely be Omaha police officers. Following that, Mr. Bianco will have the opportunity for questioning, cross-examining of my witnesses, and then he can provide any rebuttal evidence that he would want to submit. Throughout the process, the city council, any member of the city council, as well as the city attorney's representative, so in this case it'll be me, we will be allowed to cross-examine any witnesses that are presented by Mr. Bianco.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't think I see any further hands. There's a motion and a second to lay over and have the evidentiary hearing on February 11th, the last item on the regular agenda that day. And that meeting starts at 2 o'clock, the regular meeting does. So typically that might be 4 or 5 o'clock, we'll see. Okay. Motion and a second to lay over, roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes,
Motion passed 7-0.
thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn in a second, roll call.
Melton.
Yes.
Rowe. Bagley. Harding. Hug. Johnson. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 1:07.